So I just want to welcome everyone and thank you for joining us for Lunch with Lucy. If it's your first time with us, welcome. If you're a big fan, welcome back. We're thrilled that you're here. My name is Kate Remillard. I'm on the marketing team at BHT Studios. I'm your co-host for Lunch with Lucy. We have a very special guest today, but before we get started, I just want to remind you, as Lucy said, we welcome your questions. Please add them to the Q&A box on your screen. We'll also have polls that pop up, so please participate. We love to see how you guys engage with those polls. At the end of the show, we'll also announce the winners of our 5 DoorDash gift cards for $25 each. You must be present to win, so hang on to the very end. I also just want to mention Lucy's YouTube page. Please visit it and subscribe. I will put the link in the chat. Keep up to date with all of the amazing content she's creating, including the archive of all of our Lunch with Lucy's, interviews with industry experts, and more. So be sure to go there. And with that, I'm happy to introduce the woman herself, our host, Lucy Edwards.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be here again. And thank you so much for putting your name in the chat and your company and your location. It's great. And today we have a very special guest, Leslie Rouda Smith. So Leslie Rouda Smith is a president of National Association of Realtors. So cannot get bigger than that. We are privileged to have you as a guest, Leslie, and you have such a rich history, your family history, 3 generations in real estate, and your father and your brother were so involved in National Association of Realtors, and you are now. So it's great to have you here on our talk show. Welcome, Leslie.
Oh, thank you, Lucy. It's so nice to be with all of you, and welcome to all of your guests.
So let's start with your heritage, your legacy, your story, and how you got into real estate, probably when you were a little kid helping your father.
Well, the joke in our house is you get into real estate because we don't know any better, because that's all we've ever known. But I will say it's an amazing business to be in, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. My father was the 1991 president of the National Association of Realtors. I am the 3rd, 2nd generation NAR president. I am the 7th woman president in 115 years, but I am the first president in our history to lead a majority female leadership team of 7. So I feel very honored to be the person who can say that forever, because it's kind of a big deal since women represent 2/3 of realtors.
I know women basically run the whole real estate business, but we are going to be the best and the biggest decision makers going forward. So thank you, Leslie, for taking the role, and thank you for leading us. I would like to start our conversation with your opinion on what do you think is number one benefit that National Association of Realtors is offering to agents and to realtors?
Well, we have almost 1.6 million members. We are the largest trade association in the world. And while we're out listing and selling real estate, we have a group of people that are our lobbyists who are on Capitol Hill almost daily, that work 24/7 to make sure we have what we need and that homeowners have what they need, and anyone who owns even commercial property, because we also, work with them as well. For any of you who received the PPP, the Payment Protection Plan, during the pandemic, that was the first time in the history of our country that independent contractors were a part of a stimulus program. And you can thank the National Association of Realtors for that, because without them, that never would have happened. We are advocating, of course, right now for our inventory supply issue. We are working with zoning reform, money for new construction, expanding financing options, how to repurpose retail and commercial space for housing, tax incentives to spur investment and convert unused space. We're working with the Biden administration and Congress and our industry partners on solutions to increase homeownership opportunities in our country. And over the past year, the Biden administration, we've worked with them on a comprehensive policy proposal and a building consensus, because action is obviously needed. And I will also let you know that the White House included a historic funding request for affordable housing in the fiscal year 2023 budget, and that was released in March. So we all believe that the dream of home ownership should be for everyone, and I sure don't want to see us become a country of renters.
Yeah, I think it's great that you are offering that direction, and also you, if you would just say a few words about RPAC. I think RPAC is such an important organization. They are fighting for realtors' rights. For again, also they are involved in zoning. They are working with a local government, and it's a great organization and plays a big part. So a few words about that.
Oh gosh, you know, Lucy, that's one of my favorite questions you could ever ask me, because I'm all about RPAC. Anybody who knows what RPAC is and does for us and our profession, there's no way you couldn't be about RPAC. But what I will say is we have what we call like a minimum investment in RPAC. Every state is different, but we give millions of dollars to elected officials and candidates based on what they do, and if they're, you know, realtor friendly, if they believe in what we do, home ownership and private property rights. We do not get involved in social issues. We do not get involved in the President of the United States contest. It's just whatever has to do with our profession, making sure that we are always at the table. And I'm sure many of you have always heard, if you're not at the table, you are on the menu. Well, guess what? In this world, it doesn't matter if you're at the table, you're still on the menu. So we have amazing people that take care of making sure that we are able to list and sell and have our business the way we have it today. Because if we don't leave this the way we found it, this profession might cease to exist. RPAC is something that every single person should be giving to, everyone. I was just inducted into the Hall of Fame at the $50,000 level. Why do I do that? Because I believe in it. I believe in our profession, and I know what we do. We have the greatest job on earth to help people find the dream of home ownership. We should all be a part of RPAC. And honestly, I feel like those that don't understand it would love to help you out or direct you to help you understand. You can always go to nar.realtor, put anything up in the search bar, and I guarantee you'll find all kinds of information. But if you don't know about RPAC, then you absolutely need to know about it.
And you can always reach out to your local MLS and your local realtor organizations. They will provide you with whatever you need. I personally, when I participate in any kind of event with Florida Realtors or with local beaches MLS and on Long Island and on and on and on, RPAC is always present, so please approach, get some brochures, and use the information. We all need them because they're going to fight for us. So it's important.
Yes.
Let's talk about, Leslie, let's talk about this sustainability. National Association of Realtors is offering the leadership. And how can you lead agents in today's difficult time, kind of confusing? It's everything is divided between before COVID and after COVID. So what are you doing about agents feeling comfortable with their strategy and their direction?
Well, sustainability is certainly a top issue. It's one of my 3 big initiatives for 2022. It's near and dear to my heart. NAR is doing all kinds of things. It is part of our strategic priorities, part of our strategic plan. We have classes and courses that you can take on sustainability. You can also get your green designation. And just some of the things to just let you know that I'm working on. I'd like to see us have a reduction in plastic water bottles. I did a beach cleanup in California last year, and it was really sad to hear just what a minute little piece of plastic does to our marine life. And that when they autopsy these mammals, it's just really sad to see what's inside of them, that we all can be better. We can all do better. Another thing that I'm hoping to get accomplished this year is I would like to plant a tree for every member of the National Association of Realtors. And of course, trees are great shade for a home or any kind of property, but they're also great for curb appeal. But there are a lot of other things that trees do with the oxygen and the air and carbon credits and things like that that people may not be aware of. So I would like to open people's eyes to some of the things that we can do for sustainability. My husband and I own ranch land in North Texas. And my husband's a farm and ranch real estate broker. So I jokingly say, I got to Texas as quickly as I could and I wrote me a cowboy. So we do what are called prescribed burns on our ranch. And it's interesting that, you cut all around the acreage that you're going to burn, then you wet it down, and then they set 2 fires on each end and they clash in the middle and go out. But it's all dependent on the humidity, the winds, the temperature, the direction, and everything on whether you're going to have a cool, warm, or a hot burn or anywhere in between. But what is the most fascinating is that after the burn, within 24 to 48 hours, after the soil has been oxygenated, green things start growing out of the ground. It is unbelievable. I mean, that is nature. And I think that that's a lot of the reason why we have all these fires is all the thatch that is on the ground is the fuel for these fires. And that's what controlled or prescribed burns will help. So there's all kinds of things. We have a report at nar.realtor that you can all check out. And we also are going to have a sustainability course online later this year. There are just a wealth of information. If you go to nar.realtor and search for sustainability or green, you will find more information. But I'll also tell you, there was a survey done by NAR, I think for 2020, and it was like 32% of realtors said that they've been asked about green on transactions. Now it's half. So it increased 18% in 1 year. So just know that this is definitely on everyone's radar. If you're not familiar with it, I hope you'll go to nar.realtor and learn more.
So Leslie, how many realtors are members of National Association of Realtors?
We're at about 1,560,000 right now.
Can you imagine 1 million and whatever, 1.5 million even trees being planted? That will be an amazing task for all of us. I'll participate.
So I don't know if we're going to have to plant them, but we'll each have one in our name, I guess.
Well, I think if everyone plants a tree, that's already a great advantage. So Kate, do you mind looking at the polls for the first poll? So we have 2 polls. I love watching our polls because it gives us an understanding. And then again, please put in 1.5 million members of NAI. Yep. So please put in the chat anything you want to talk about that we can ask Leslie today, right now. I mean, that is your opportunity to ask the real person, the real question. So here we go. Don't lose that opportunity. How often do you get to sit down with the president of National Association of Realtors? So please do. So Kate, do we have the answers?
Yes. So the first poll was asking if you've ever visited nar.realtor, and happily reporting that 86% have, and just 14 have not. So pretty darn good.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we did one poll that was talking about kind of business sustainability and seeking out additional education to help their business. And 80% have, 15% have done a little bit, and just a couple of you have not. So that was good to see as well.
Yep. We are rolling, so that is great. I would love to talk about technology. And again, before and after COVID, things have changed tremendously. A lot of us had to invest so much effort in education and in technology, and we need to still learning and embracing and welcoming. So what does National Association of Realtors do for their members to feel comfortable, to get educated? Are you helping with promoting additional classes? I understand you are not really arranging CE classes for realtors, but you are in contact with all local organizations.
Well, Lucy, we have several designations and certifications that you can receive through the National Association of Realtors. And certainly there are a lot of other arms and entities like the CRS, WCR, SIOR, IRM, all of those are all underneath that umbrella. So for whatever it is you're looking for, you can find a designation or a certification. I do know one that is being worked on right now is the crypto NFT blockchain metaverse one. And I don't know exactly when it will be out, but I know that is being worked on, and that I do have a presidential advisory group with people that are way smarter than I am taking care of all of that. One thing for all of you to know, one of your best member benefits is RPR, which is Realtor Property Resource. If you aren't using it, your competitors are. So if you don't know what RPR is, you most definitely need to make that a priority to find out what it is and be engaged in that for everything you do. There is a wealth of information, and you will look like the smartest realtor that ever did a listing presentation if you will go in there and pull the info on the property that you're hoping to list. So please, if you're not doing it, your competitors are. So go learn about what Realtor Property Resource is. I will also tell you that NAR has another arm called SCV, which is Second Century Ventures. Under that is what we call our REACH program. So you're all familiar with the Shark Tank program that I love to watch on television. Well, the original Shark Tank is the National Association of Realtors through our REACH program that existed long before the Shark Tank program existed. And we have different parts to that. We are invested in 185 companies, all of which help you in your business. And they are part of the REACH program. We bring them in and we mentor them and help them be successful after going through, all kinds of applications. We also have an IOI summit that is about like invention, opportunity, and it is in, I think, September in LA, and we have what's called a pitch battle. And that's one of the most fun things that I go to all year. I love the pitch battle. They have 4 minutes to speak, 4 minutes for questions, and the mic cuts off if they go over, and it's just really exciting. But when you look at all of the programs in REACH, again, you can go to nar.realtor and search that in the search bar so that you can learn more about the REACH program. We are not only in the United States, we are in Canada, the UK, and Australia. And I just came from overseas and was with one of the people from UK and just learning some of the things that they are bringing forward with the REACH program. And it's very exciting. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes than people realize in the way of what NAR does to help us in our business. And NAR is a big part too of DocuSign, which many of us use in our business. So that just gives you one. AdWorks is one. Box Brownie won Pitch Battle one year. So did Curbio another year. So just gives you an idea of how in tune we are with what is going on in our profession and how we are able to help you, our members.
So for our audience to find, for example, what events are coming up if they would like to participate, first of all, can they do it in person and virtually, because not everyone is comfortable traveling yet? And second of all, is there an easy way for everyone to find all the events?
You can find anything you want at nar.realtor, I promise you.
Okay.
You can put IOI in the search bar and you'll find out where it is in LA, the exact dates. If there's a virtual component, sometimes there's a virtual component, sometimes there isn't. And even with meetings, a lot of our meetings are open. Some of them are not, like say credentials would not be an open meeting, or finance. But when we do have our meetings in Washington, D.C. in May, which are our legislative meetings that we just had last month. And then in the fall, we have our annual conference, which is where the May is more governance, the November is more educational. But if you've never been to an NAR meeting, you might want to think about going to Orlando in November for our annual conference. And for those of you who are overgrown teenagers like me, we have Realtor Night at Islands of Adventure, or whatever they call that. And everyone loves that because the park is closed down to everyone except for the attendees of our conference. So for the big kids out there like me, that's a fun time.
That's amazing. You also mentioned about crypto and cryptocurrency and blockchain, and that maybe some classes are coming up. Can we please talk about that? Because there is more and more conversation about that. As a matter of fact, one of my guests a couple months ago was talking about cryptocurrency and blockchain, and 12% last year of first-time buyers used some kind of cryptocurrency in their down payment. So to me, it's an incredible number. So what are you recommending, your opinion, and how you work with local MLS and CE classes?
Well, CE classes you're licensed by your state, not the National Association of Realtors. We are not a licensing agency, so we do not give licenses, suspend or terminate licenses. So continuing education falls within a state. All we can do as the National Association of Realtors is to encourage the states to make that a part of their program. And of course, we have plenty of people who are involved in their real estate commissions as commissioners or chairman of their commissions all over the country. And those are the people, a lot of them, that come to our governance meetings. So they also agree that this is a very important topic and it needs to be shared with our members. Our members do need to know about it, in my opinion. I think it's the future. Definitely blockchain, that's where everything will be noted, from especially title companies and change of hands of ownership, things like that will be on the blockchain. Crypto, if you're watching it right now, it's not a really good time to be watching it because I'm very invested in crypto and it's kind of like the stock market, it's tanking. But everything is a long-term investment. You don't panic and sell. So I'll just kind of wait it out. But there are so many unknowns right now because it is new. But I will say that there have been obviously a number of closings that have included it. There's even a crypto stadium now. I think it's in California, but crypto is kind of a big thing now. NFTs are non-fungible tokens. That might be another class for everyone, but it's very interesting how that works. Certainly the blockchain is something you will definitely need to know because I do believe that is going to be a huge part of our business. And then, of course, the metaverse. And, some people understand it, some don't. I get it, and then I don't get it. So it's like it makes sense, but then I question why. So I have been into the metaverse. I was in Dubai a few months ago. And so I went into the metaverse and, walked around with my little handheld things and my inocular glasses. And it was very interesting. But for those of you who don't know anything about any of these subject matters, I highly recommend that not only you do some search on that and research it, but also, again, go to nar.realtor and put whatever you're looking for in that search bar and see what's going on with all of this. There is a presidential advisory group that just convened in Miami about 2 weeks ago. So our first, what we call PAG, Crypto PAG, has launched. And in my personal opinion, as your 2022 president, I think it's going to be the biggest PAG of the year because the excitement behind it is mind-blowing. So stay tuned.
Well, thank you, Leslie, because that's what I expected for you to say. And I have been doing quite a few interviews and everyone is on the same page with you, all the leaders that I have met with and interviewed on the same page. Invest, try to understand, don't swim on it 24/7, but try to understand and at least be aware. So if you have a buyer or a seller, you sound intelligent and you know what you're talking about. So yes, it's important. We do have a question. I am a new realtor, received my license 3 months ago. What advice or what would you suggest with me starting out?
I don't think you can ever learn too much. So I would take classes and learn about all these things we're talking about and anything else that you don't feel confident about or that you feel you could be better at. And I would take classes. One of the things I did when I got my license many, many moons ago was I took classes to get designations so that I could show that I am a professional and I've worked hard to be better than anybody or what better than I could have been or whatever it may be, whatever it makes you feel like. For me, I'm not someone who loves to take online classes. I'm very capable of it, but I learn from other people and other people's questions. So I like to be present. That's my preference. I know everyone has their own taste, but I do think you learn more when you're in person. But again, that is a choice. I think education is going to be the most important. And I also would say, find a mentor, find someone who will help you in the right direction that has been around for a while, that knows the ropes and that can help you, and certainly know your market.
I can't agree with you more, Leslie. I think the coach, the mentor is so, it is in our industry, it's very important. They keep you accountable. They give you guidance. They're well experienced. And I agree with you. Kate, do we have results from the last poll?
Yes. We asked about cryptocurrency and blockchain, and if the audience would be interested in a CE class, and 85% said yes. So that, yeah.
That is one loud and clear request. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you, guys. So Leslie, let's talk about Women Council of Realtors. Very closely at all times, Realtors Association, National Association of Realtors, local associations, everyone is working close with women, with WCR. And I understand you also were involved in that wonderful organization. Can we talk about that?
Absolutely. So I was a president of the Dallas Women's Council in 1998. That's a long time ago, I know. And I am the 12th longest member in the state of Texas, which I just heard recently. I said, oh my, that makes me feel old. I will say, having grown up,
it makes you important and involved and loyal to your beliefs. So
I guess you're right. When I think about it, I'm, probably approaching close to 40 years of being a member of Women's Council, but, I grew up in real estate. So I watched a profession that you saw more women in than anything else, because they can be their own boss and they can make as much money as they want to make. But if you go look at the local associations and all of the past presidents, it would be really hard to find a woman president before the mid 80s, but they are out there. I'm not saying they're not, but there aren't many. And that's a lot of the reason why we have Women's Council. My mentor was Ebby Halliday, who was the queen of real estate in Texas. And she founded the Dallas chapter of WCR, which they call Networks now. And she was national president in 1957, but she was never local, state, or national president because she's a woman. So I think that helped women a lot. I can also tell you that this is kind of, a lot of people look at me and think I'm crazy when I say this. I'm just an open book, but I grew up dancing on stage and I loved that. And I have a degree in television and radio, but I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I wanted to be behind the camera. So when I had to start speaking, I thought, I was about to pass out because I would get so nervous. And Women's Council is where I overcame that, from the support and the encouragement from my fellow women in real estate. They were the ones who really helped me bridge that gap and become a lot of who I am today. Because this is a fact. My father, I am one of 4 children. I am the only daughter. My father was 91 president. My first committee appointment at NAR, just to sit in the room in a chair, was 2004, because I'm a girl and I wasn't allowed to be on a committee. But I was at all the meetings. I just wasn't allowed to be on a committee. So being the first president to lead a majority female team means more to me than probably most women, especially since I've never really felt like it was equal growing up, but I've made a big difference and made up the difference. So I feel really good about it.
Well, yes, and you are making a difference now as we speak. You are bringing different direction. I'm praising your previous, I really enjoyed working with Charlie Wopler. He was the past president, but you are bringing something completely different. And I think being part of Women Council of Realtors as the oldest member and now the president, it's an opportunity for everyone to look at you and learn and move forward and and use it as an example in their life to be comfortable with what they're doing and who they are. Tell me, please, so what do you think about the biggest event of the year for NAR is what, in November, December, usually every year. And do you think it is important, and why, if it is, for realtors to visit the event and to be part of it? And, let's talk about the speakers, the expo. So what's your take on it?
Well, first of all, it is a great place to go and learn from others, see what's new in our profession, especially when it comes to whether it's technology, marketing, branding, whatever it may be. So I would hope, and I have heard this from many people, once you go, you will never not go, because you learn so much. And, it's kind of like drinking out of a fire hydrant, because it is so much information that you just get so excited. And then you have to remember, you have to come back and implement these things. You can't just take notes and, put it in your computer and then that's that. I went there, I took notes, I'm done. No, make sure you pick, 2 or 3 things that were huge and get those implemented into your business so you can be better than you were before you went. But we do have amazing speakers. I'm in the process of picking speakers for that meeting. And we have 3 general sessions. All 3 of those are all different. They're an hour long, and they do have speakers. We have the Realtor Night Out, which I told you was at Islands of Adventure. We have our inaugural for our next president. And there's just so many things that go on. I am one of those in my position. I'm supposed to be 5 places at once. So it's one of those high in the hallway. That's about all I have time for. But next year, I'll be able to slow down a little bit. But I hope if you haven't been, you will think about going. And in 2023, it's in Las Vegas. So it moves around every year to a different place. But our May meeting that's legislative is always in our nation's capital.
And also networking. Let's not forget networking. You are meeting so many people. I've been to several. And the friends I made, the connections I made, besides learning from the expo and from the speakers, I think it is a very important event, because you have so many realtors all at once in one space, and you bump into each other, and everyone is so friendly and relaxed, and there is no stress, really. It's just a pleasure to be around. So I encourage.
It is. And you know what, along those lines too, Lucy, just something interesting. A lot of people would say, how on earth can you be president of the National Association of Realtors and still be actively in the industry? Well, you know how? Because we live off of referrals from all of those years of networking. Even our children do. So when people think of Dallas, Texas, they think of our family because they're involved too. So it's worthwhile. You'll learn a lot, and you can even get in some of the groups where, if you have a question, like, I had a client, this happened. Has anyone ever dealt with this? And how did you handle it? You can learn so much from each other. So I highly recommend it.
Well, thank you, Leslie. I'm looking forward to some questions, everybody. Where are the questions? So please put them in Q&A or put them in the chat. Meanwhile, is there anything you would like to wish to all the agents, not just new agents, but to all the agents for the next 2 quarters, well, actually 2 quarters and half a month in 2022, and to prepare for 2023? So what are your wishes?
Well, I just hope people will continue to educate themselves. I mean, number one, that's to me the most important thing we can do as realtors is to stay up on the market, especially our own, but to be aware of what is also going on. I mean, be aware of the advocacy efforts on behalf of you as members at the National Association of Realtors. One of the things I remember when I was Texas Realtors chairman, and I remember asking the audience if they were sharing with their buyers and sellers about a Proposition 1 that we had in the state of Texas that increased your homestead exemption, and it had 2 other beneficial parts to that proposition. And I asked how many of them were sharing that with their sellers, and not one hand went up in the ballroom. So what I would say, you're here today. I hope you've learned something that you didn't know before, but take what you learned and use it to your benefit. And so the way I played this out for the people in the ballroom when no one raised their hand, I said, so how about this? How about if you're on a listing appointment and you say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, are you familiar with Prop 1? Well, here's what it's about. you, your neighbors, family, and friends all need to get out and vote because it has to do with home ownership. It doesn't have to do with realtors. We need your help in getting this passed. And by the way, are you interviewing any other realtors for this listing? And when they say, yes, we have 2 appointments this afternoon, then your response should be, well, I would sure ask them what their thoughts are on Prop 1. Because if they're realtors like most realtors who don't attend anything, they won't even know what Prop 1 is. They might not even be registered to vote. So use what you learn by attending things like this in your business. There's a lot more to use than you may realize. So think about that as you listen in the future and take classes and learn. There are things that you can use in your presentations with both buyers and sellers. So I would recommend that everyone does more to implement and just be more real time with what's going on in the world.
That is so true. You couldn't say it any better. It is so important to educate yourself constantly, never stop, participate, network. Look into so many webinars that are available now, and they are actually, majority of them are free. So, and they're short. They're like half an hour here, 45 minutes there. There is so much to learn. And now it's the time, because we have 1.5 million realtors in the United States of America. So yes, competition is here, and learning is very important. Listening and learning, incredibly important.
Well,
so,
I will also add to that, Lucy, a lot of people may not realize that just because you have a license does not make you a realtor. There are as many licensees that are not realtors as there are of us. The difference is we adhere to a code of ethics. They don't. They don't have to. I mean, I'm not saying they're not ethical, but they're not members of the National Association of Realtors, where we are required to adhere to our code of ethics. So that makes it a lot different. And that is also something to talk about with your buyers and sellers, especially if they might be considering working with someone who is not a realtor. And also something to note, we are fighting more lawsuits than we have ever fought in our 115-year history. We are in a very litigious society. That's why our PAC is important. Our advocacy efforts are important. And it's also important that you go to competition.realtor and see what's going on, because you don't want to be that person that's asked that question about one of these lawsuits and have no clue what it's about. We are being attacked, and we've got to stand up for ourselves, or we will not have a business to be in. So that is very important. And I want everyone to open their eyes to what is going on.
Yeah, it's actually the other day I had an interview, and I started asking about the importance of cryptocurrency. And I was told, do you know how many lawsuits are we in right now? And you are worried about agents understanding cryptocurrency? They have to understand where they stand right now with everything that's going on, and learn. And I so appreciate, Leslie, that you mentioned that, because yes, realtors have to understand what's happening in their business, because we all get affected by every outcome, and we need to be educated and supportive, and whatever we can do to support National Association of Realtors and each other, we have to get busy and be involved. I appreciate that, Leslie. Thank you.
And I will also tell you, there are so many member benefits at nar.realtor. I know one time I had a friend say, did you get your rental car for our trip at nar.realtor? And I said, no, but my gosh, they're expensive. And they said, I just saved $204 by going through the NAR and using the code that you can apply when you check out for the rental car. So that's more than your dues. So I hope you know that is there for you also. That's who we are, as in the R for Realtor has been our ad campaign for the last 4 years. And it's our public awareness campaign. And we need that now more than ever with all of these lawsuits. And so we did have a $10 increase for the first time since 2009. The $35 that we've been paying every year for our community awareness was worth $14 because we hadn't had it increased in 13 years. So just want to make you aware of that. It's a great thing. It's good for all of us. And NAR is doing amazing things to make sure we stay on the map and that people realize the value of using a realtor.
Leslie, we have a quick question. How do you feel the rise in mortgage rates will impact real estate sales?
Well, it's always going to affect it one way or another because it increases what your mortgage payment will be. And unfortunately, between the interest rates going up and the value of homes going up at a higher rate than I've ever seen it in my lifetime, it's not exactly win-win. But I will tell you that having been in this business as long as I've been in it, I personally have had a mortgage at 10.5%. And I do remember when we had 17 and 18%. So for those of us who have been around a long time, it's not really a big deal to us because it's still nothing compared to what we paid before.
Exactly. I was guilty of 17% mortgage. And as recently as 25 years ago, we had mortgage for 7.5%, and we were the happiest people on the block because we thought it was low. So it's all, comes in comparison. 5% or whatever it is today, it's not that good, but it's really not that bad. I think we just kind of got spoiled in the last couple of years that we had 2.75. That was not real. So now we're kind of like back to the reality. That's my opinion, just my opinion only. Any other questions, anybody, please? So, okay. Well, I don't feel like you guys took advantage of Leslie being here as our guest. More questions should have been pouring. If I were there, I would have been just typing right now. So, but you still have a moment to do that. But
yes. I'll wrap it up, Lucy. And if anybody has questions here, you can pop in. But I just want to thank you again, Leslie, for spending time with us today. This was awesome. I learned so much. So I hope everybody enjoyed. I know they did. Please join us next month. We'll be July 20th. We'll be with Lance Pendleton. He's an expert on agent development, coaching, strategy, focus, all of those good things. He's a really great speaker, so you won't want to miss that.
Thank you, everybody. Leslie, thank you so much. It was a great pleasure. I hope to run into you at one of the events, and thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you, Lucy and Kate, and thank you, everyone else.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.